Welcome, welcome. So good to see you all here. My name is Reiko, and I want to welcome everyone, but wait a minute. Fascists, white supremacists, neo-Nazis, Nazis, alt-right, they're not allowed. So if any of them are here, please leave now. So you are in the right place tonight. And we have a really special program happening tonight. We've gotten many, many people coming into the store making video statements. So we were gonna play a few of those. I think there's someone here who wants to make a statement live. We're gonna read some of the statements that people have sent us. And then we're going to have a really special presentation by Andy Zee, who's actually come here all the way from New York. So we're really excited about that.
I always love this store just for the actual books because it's such a great selection, but also it's such a great community space, and the people here are always like interesting and interested in engaging and talking about things going on in the community, and given kind of the state of affairs where so many positive spaces are under attack, I just think it's really important. I've been here twice this week just to show up, say hello, buy a book, read a book, whatever. But I got so much respect and love for this place. I'll still keep coming by a couple times a week.
I personally support the bookstore, and I'm completely against the fascist attacks that have happened recently, because all these books are about real people's lives and real people's struggles, and I think that it is important for education and the purposes of expanding the mind and expanding what we know and questioning authority and continuing to become skeptical of what our current condition is, and that's what this bookstore does, and I think that's extremely important. That's something that should be protected at all costs.
Yeah, the attack on the bookstore is really a microcosm of what's happening to this country, and the fact that we are constantly dealing with white supremacy, we're dealing with fascism and racism, ableism, homophobia. It really doesn't end, and we have to examine the multidimensional forms of oppression, and that's what bookstores like this are capable of doing. They're capable of providing.
Now discovered this wonderful community known as Revolution Books. I came to show my support by buying a book and standing up against fascism, by supporting a bookstore that helps give power to the people, that helps educate a community, that helps in all these ways, and I'm here to show my support to that.
I'm a student at Cal, and I'm currently taking a history of fascism course, and I think it's really important that people realize that all the things that are happening currently in this country have very similar earmarks to what has already happened. Don't wait for things to go on too long, too far, when we can act now, and we can use the resources at hand. Resources much like this bookstore that is currently under attack by actual fascists. Don't just talk about it, be about it, come learn, come read, help your community.
Saw those attacks and thought that was horrible. I've been in here a couple times before and seen some great speakers and a lot of great books that don't deserve to be burned down. Books in general of all sorts shouldn't be burned down, but this place in particular, a great place for revolution in the name.
I like this bookstore because it has a lot of books that will open up your mind to a whole new perspective and knowledge that never be destroyed.
Steve Ashley. I'm here at Revolution Books in Berkeley. I saw the incident that happened last week, or earlier this week, from the fascist stupids, and I wanted to come down and show my support for Revolution Books, and we'll continue to support Revolution Books. We've got to stop fascism in this country.
And it's really important that we keep this bookstore going and we have supporters, because as you can see, we have books here for kids, starting to educate children on their background and our culture, the melting pot of America, and especially in California. We have these people coming in that are strong right-wing supporters trying to destroy this bookstore, which to me is another way of a modern-day genocide. Let's stop the education, let's stop the culture, let's stop the black, let's stop the the queer. That's what I'm hearing. Sorry, honey. That's what I'm hearing when I hear about these things going on, and it's really important that these books are here as a wealth of knowledge for our community and for our people. And with everything going on in our country, you know, right now, and Flint, and the school shootings, this is when we need to come together and practice loving kindness and not destroying other things and supporting each other as a community. So please come down and support this bookstore, educate your friends and family, your children. That's what we're about.
Hey, I just came by at Revolution Books today because I saw the madness of video on Twitter with all the hate that's coming this way, so I wanted to bring Revolution Books love. Buy a book, come out. There's lots of opportunities for discussion. Have a great
I think it's important that there are spaces like this around, because these fascists that come and attack people with these beliefs, they think that they're entitled to their opinion, and they believe in this revisionist history that grants them so much privilege and superiority. However, like, if you come in here, you get like the idea that we live in this society that's actually not like equal and not free, and like has been designed in a certain way to oppress people, like is very validating for so many people. So for these fascists to come in and try to take that space away, like, is honestly like horrible, and we need to protect like what we have before like they gain enough power to.
Why we like the bookstore? Because communism rules, guys. Free the people, man. Fuck the police.
No, because America's trained fascists. We gotta like.
Yeah, dude. We need to fight against. The youth needs to fight against.
That actually tells the truth.
This is my favorite bookstore on the planet.
This is the only bookstore that actually like tells the truth.
This
other
bookstore
bookstores are not as
promotes the truth.
What's up, y'all? This is Sochi, and I'm at Revolution Books in Berkeley. I'm an organizer with the Refuse Fascism Bay Area. Revolution Books is making a call to all people of conscience to join with this bookstore, to stand, to do shifts, to come and put your bodies and your voices out there to say we are not going to be intimidated by these attacks. Once more, we're going to grow bigger, and we're going to put more text out, more information out, more culture out to the people, so that in the face of this agenda of white supremacy, the face of this agenda of fascism, in the face of this agenda of patriarchy, we're going to put out a whole new vision, a radical vision of liberation, of thinking and challenging and critical thought. I want to invite people to come down here. I'm checking out the Bobavakian New Communism, and there's a lot more to check out. You know, but the most important thing is that we cannot let this Trump fascist regime to intimidate us, to silence us, and to threaten to burn down the centers of resistance that places like this bookstore represent.
This is a statement from David Gunn Jr., who's the son of Dr. David Gunn, who was the first abortion doctor actually to be killed by anti-abortion extremists. Last weekend, I was mindlessly scrolling through my Facebook feed when I saw the Now This video documenting a rabid band of Trump supporters aggressively confronting the volunteer staff of Revolution Books in Berkeley. As I watched the MAGA crowd anger intensify, and as it became evident that their actions were motivated by a combination of fear, political intolerance, nativist hatred, misogynistic oppression, and just plain racist thinking, I was struck by two things. One, the courage and restraint of the bookstore's volunteer staff. Give it up for Reiko. And two, the explosive rage of the assailants. I have seen this exact type of intolerance before. It is the exact type of intimidation used by anti-abortion protesters. The absolute hatred it fosters is the same type of uncontrollable rage that led Michael Griffin to murder my father. It is dangerous when unchecked, and it typically ends in real violence and death. Obviously, these people, motivated and encouraged by the Trump regime and the fear of political dissent it engenders, want to eliminate anything and everyone they see as quote-unquote other. They want to silence. They crave supplication. They want conformity. Today, I stand with the staff of Revolution Books in Berkeley and the larger anti-Trump resistance and say, fuck no, we will not conform, be silent, or prostrate ourselves to Trump and his deranged supporters. We must all stand with these courageous volunteers and say no to the Trump-Pence regime and the MAGA extremists. Failure to resist makes us complicit, and it dishonors the volunteers' courage and sacrifice. Thank you to the staff of Revolution Books in Berkeley for your dedication, your refusal to kowtow to extremism, and your service to freedom and liberty is beautiful and righteous. So again, that's from David Gunn Jr., the son of David Gunn, who was murdered by anti-abortion extremists.
So I have a statement from Eula Taylor, who is the chair of African American Studies at UC Berkeley. Revolution Books is more than a bookstore. It is a place that encourages critical thought and transformative love. We have to support, protect, and advocate for Revolution Books. Their struggle is our struggle. Right on. Eula Taylor. Also from Kathleen Caldwell, a great good place for books, Oakland. As an independent bookstore owner, I support Revolution Books' right to free speech and their right to refuse service to disruptive, ignorant, abusive, foul-mouthed, right-wing protesters. Right on, Kathleen. We are living in scary times. We have a president who has made name-calling, lying, and bullying a national norm. I stand with Revolution Books and hope others join me. Sincerely, Kathleen Caldwell. Is Kevin from Green Apple Books here? All right, shout out. I just want to give a shout out. We have bookstores represented right here that are showing up in person to support the bookstore. Thank you for coming out. And then I have City Lights Books, City Lights booksellers and publishers. All of us at City Lights Books were disturbed to hear of the recent attempts to intimidate and shut down Revolution Books for exercising their First Amendment rights. We stand in solidarity with our fellow booksellers and with all those who exercise their rights to think freely, publish, and advocate for their beliefs. We stand firmly against those who would stifle dissent. Thank you, City Lights Bookstore. And then finally, I have from the Middle Eastern Children's Alliance. The Middle Eastern Children's Alliance stands with Revolution Books in opposing fascism in all its forms. This bookstore has been a critical resource for all those in the Bay Area and beyond who are fighting for a more just world. Thank you, Middle Eastern Children's Alliance.
I'm going to read a statement from this guy, Vegas Tenold, who has published this new book called Everything You Love Will Burn, about the rise of the new alt-right fascist right in America. And he has a story for us that goes, a little more than a year ago, I was interviewing Richard Spencer in a coffee shop in DC. He was loudly explaining how, if it were up to him, women would not be encouraged to enter higher education. The table next to us was occupied by a group of young women, one of whom got up and came over. Without letting him speak, she explained to him, patiently, as one would to a child, how he was the last person on earth who should voice an opinion on what women should or shouldn't do, and that his garbage ideas and opinions were not so much offensive as they were laughable. I watched as the woman reduced the infamous Richard Spencer to a blushing, stuttering boy. And when she was done, she left him staring into the remains of his tea. We sat there for an awkward 5 minutes because Spencer said if he left now, the woman would think she had won. It didn't matter. He could have sat there for 5 years. She had completely demolished him without breaking a sweat. When fighting racism, bigotry, and hatred, we should never forget that our arguments are much, much better than theirs, and that when they threaten us with violence, it is because they know they can't beat us with words. The way to defeat the far right is with knowledge and opinions loudly voiced. It is by gathering and organizing. It is by creating a movement where everyone involved, particularly women and people of color, know how powerful they really are. To do that, we need places like Revolution Books. I really wish I could be there today, but I'm so glad that you guys are doing what you're doing, and I'm in awe of your badassery facing these people. See you next time I'm in Berkeley.
All right. And I also want to recognize our friends from the Freedom Socialist Party, and also I want to recognize Alex Ewan, the 2017 Grand Marshal of LGBT Pride in San Francisco. Lastly, I want to read a statement from the actor Peter Coyote. Hey everybody, my name is Peter Coyote, and I've got a lot of friends at Revolution Books. As a matter of fact, there's no one I like to argue with better than people at Revolution Books. And it's with humor and it's fundamental. But we don't agree about a lot of stuff. But there's one thing we do agree about, and that's the importance of the First Amendment. And no serious, dedicated intellectuals who operate a wonderful bookstore, by the way, should ever have to receive the vitriol, the cursing, and the direct threats of physical violence that Revolution Books is receiving. It's time to stand up and be counted. You don't have to be a communist or a socialist or a liberal Democrat to understand the importance of a politically free and open bookstore and the necessity of protecting other people's right to free speech. If this was a fascist bookstore, I'd hold my nose, but I'd be saying the same thing. As long as they're expressing their opinions in a peaceful and non-aggressive manner, that's their right under the Constitution. And anyone who denies it is basically acting in an anti-American fashion, even if they're wearing a hat that says, "Make America Great Again." Thanks for everybody who showed up tonight. I'm sorry I can't make it, but this is not a local Berkeley issue. This is a national issue. With the press itself under attack, facts themselves under attack, we need to get together and help one another. Thank you so much. From Peter Coyote. So that's all for the written statements. I did want to bring up Professor Jonathan Simon from Bolt School of Law at UC Berkeley.
Hey, y'all, I'll be brief. I'm really proud to join this tumultuous and giant turnout. How come you guys don't get this for my books? I think I'm here like many of you because it's hard to imagine Berkeley's vibrant political culture without Revolution Books. It's been really one of the anchors for that. Democracy doesn't depend on voting and CNN and Fox. It depends on local networks like this that can sustain activism, and that's the reason it's under attack. And it's obvious, that you're here because that attack. Sorry, that I hope you can hear me anyway. It's obvious that you're here because you take that attack very, very seriously. And I try to not look at video, so that was actually the first time I saw the video, and I'm chilled. I don't think there's any way you can doubt the seriousness of those threats. And maybe we'll be talking tonight, and maybe you'll let us know what we can do to actually defend this place when push comes to shove. Watch the tweets would be one thing, I imagine, to know if something's coming down so that we can come down here and defend it. But I do want to say one thing that, the analogy to fascism is often drawn, and with all history, analogies are difficult. But here's one in which there's a really sharp analogy that we have to look at carefully here, which is that fascism has often attacked revolutionary forces on the left on the theory that they can wedge that off from the sort of progressive liberal left to center, on the theory that, well, as long as the fascists are just sort of cleaning up this dangerous element at the edge, then it's something that we can be comfortable with, or at least remain silent during. And that has worked time and time again to get to the point where what's left of liberal democracy is very easy for fascism to roll over. So I hope you'll agree with me that we have to take this very, very seriously. We have to make clear that we consider revolutionary and Marxist discourses to be a vital part of a progressive anti-racist, anti-mass incarceration, anti-black policing alliance, which I think all of us are part of. So I'm going to stop so we can hear more of these speakers, and I can hear them too, but very proud to join you all tonight.
Thank you.